Now, for your topic today, we're going to be learning a little bit more about the Roman army. This book is absolutely incredible, and I like to show you the front of books in case you really like them and might be lucky enough that your adult might get it for you. So this is called See Inside Ancient Rome, and it's by Katie Danes and illustrated by David Hancock, and it's a Lift the Flap book. So the page that we're going to be looking at today is this one, and it's called In the Army. So I just wanted to show you a little bit more about this page. I'm going to read it to you and show you all of the different flaps and the different parts on this page too. So it says, on the furthest reaches of the Roman world, battles are being lost and won. The Roman emperor has sent his soldiers to conquer more land, but they're meeting fierce resistance. So what that basically means is the Roman army is invading, which means going into lots of other parts of Europe, and they even invaded Britain, which at the time was called Britannia. And they're having lots of fights and wars with people so that they can take over their land and have it as their own. Okay? And it says here, soldiers are trained to march for miles. They carry their weapons, food and tents with them. And there's a little picture here of the some of the soldiers chopping down corn. It says, on the way, soldiers harvest corn to make their supper. And this is what it kind of would look like as they're invading an area. It says, before nightfall, they set up a neat rectangular camp that you can see running along here. It has a fence all around the edge, and then it's got a ditch here to protect the camp. So if somebody was trying to get in, they'd have to get over the fence, and then there's a ditch there that also protects them. And you can see here the huge long line of soldiers that are coming into the camp that is being set up. And it says these soldiers have been sent as backup, these ones at the back. But these ones, it says each group of 80 soldiers is led by a centurion. So there's kind of the leader here, and there's 80 soldiers here. This is probably a legion, actually, a part of the army, and it's led by a centurion. And then you can see a flap here at the back. I love lifting up things. It says even more soldiers. You can see even more coming up over the hill. Okay, let's look a little bit more down here at the camp that they've made up. So you can see they've built all around the edge, and then can you see these carts coming into camp here with all the soldiers? Some are on horses, and if I lift up this cart, it says a statue of Mars, god of war, is the army's lucky mascot. So you can see the mascot here, and it's a statue of somebody called Mars, and that would be god of war, and they keep that with them in the camp to bring them good luck as they're fighting. Can you see all these little huts that are being put up? That's for them to kind of camp in whilst they're trying to take over lots of this land. And it says there are 8 soldiers to a tent, so 8 people would sleep in one of those tents. It must be a bit squashy in there. And if I lift up this one, it says soldiers are trained to put their tents up in a flash. So they've got to put them up really quickly. So they go from flat, and I open the flap, and they're all up. And they kind of keep themselves entertained once they've done lots of their jobs. So over here we've got some playing dice, so they're playing some games. Got some more people here building fires, ready to cook. And then it says here that there's an on-guard group of people that are on duty guarding the fences all the way round. So let's have a little look at what's going on. Oh, can you see this officer on his horse riding away? It says, this officer carries an urgent package. I wonder what's in the package, but if we lift it up, it's the general's lunch, cheese and hard biscuits. So he's trying to take the lunch over to the general, which is over here. So if we go over here, can you see this group of people here? And it says the general has a good view from here. So the person in charge is standing here having a look at all these things that are going on, and having a look down here at how they're building their camp ready to take over. And down here, got some trees, and it says here timber. So timber is what you'd call the bits of wood that they get, but timber is also something that people shout when a log from a tree is ready to crash to the ground, to let people know that there's a log about to fall so they can mind out the way. Oops, sorry, didn't see you there. And you can see the tree falling down, so it looks like it might have landed on somebody. And down here, there's some planks of wood that look like they're being prepared by some soldiers. There's some little bits of kindling and twigs that have all been bundled together. And it says, soldiers cut down trees to build weapons. So let's have a look at what's going on up here. This small fortress, which is this bit here, stands in the way of the advancing army. The Romans hope to capture it by nightfall. So advancing means they want to walk that way, they want to start invading that way, and they're hoping to capture it, so they're hoping to take it over before nightfall. So let's see what they're trying to do to take it over. So it says here, they knock down the gate with a battering ram. A battering ram is like a huge heavy log, and all the soldiers would pick it up, and all together they'd go thud against the door, and then they'd swing it back, and they'd go thud against the door, swing it back, and thud, and hit it against the door until the door or the gate to this finally collapses. So let's lift up the flap. Third time lucky, the gate breaks open. And you can see here, I wish I could zoom in, but it's going to be very tricky. You can see here them using their battering ram to break down the fence. It says, for protection, soldiers use their shields like a tortoise shell. That's very cool. So all the soldiers are standing here in like a formation. They've got in lines. Then they've put their shields over the top to protect themselves from anything that might come from the people up here back at them. Because they're probably going to try and fight back, aren't they? And it says catapults fling stones and flaming rags over the wooden fence. They've got catapults here, and they're going pichoo and firing over rags, which means bits of clothes that are on fire, over into their fortress, and huge stones to try and scare them and knock down all of their buildings. What's going on over here? They've got planks resting on boats, make a quick and easy bridge. So they've got the boats here with a plank on top, so the people, the soldiers, can all get across to try and take over this fortress. And over here, soldiers are setting fire to a tiny little village that isn't as protected as this one. I'll move it down so you can see. And if I lift up this flap, villagers run for the hills. So the people are having to run away from the mean Romans that are trying to take over their land. I think that's all the flaps that I can lift and all the explaining that I can do about in the army. I hope you enjoyed that. This book is so cool. I think you'd all really like it. There's all these lift the flaps about how the rich people live, and you can have a look at the flaps there. There's at the baths, the Roman baths. There's at the port. There's on the streets. There was a really good one that I liked that was about the Colosseum. Let me see if I can find it, because you found out about the Colosseum last time. Here we go. Gruesome games. So this is what one of the arenas would look like, that the gladiators, like from the story of Spartacus, do you remember they were being trained in gladiator school? They'd been made to go and battle here for the entertainment of all of the Romans, and they'd often die in these battles. So this is really cool, and you can lift up all the flaps here. But what I was thinking you could do as part of your topic today is make your own version of a lift the flap all about the army information that we've just found out. I've had a go at mine here. I haven't coloured it in, and I think it'd be nice if you could colour yours in, or you might collage, or you might paint, it's up to you. But I've done my pencil outline, and I've kind of copied as best as I can from the book, but you could make up your own version. The things don't need to be in the same place. And I've included some information that I've just found out, but I've added my own flaps. So you can see my fortress over here, and I've said here, soldiers set fire to a village, just like we've seen, but I've got a flap here. I've got the front door, and then I open it up, and I've got my soldiers using a battering ram, and here it says a battering ram is used to break the gate down. So I've done my own lift the flap. I did a lift the flap here. It said soldiers are trained to march for miles. They carry their weapons food and tents with them. And if I lift my flap, I've put here, just stuck it down with sellotape, even more soldiers coming in to the camp that they've set up here. And then I've done my cart coming in. Do you remember what their lucky mascot is? Underneath I've written the God of War, and then in brackets I've put Mars is the army's lucky mascot. And then down here I've got the flak tents, and I've put there are 8 soldiers to a tent. Lift it up. Soldiers are trained to put them up very quickly. And I've got my little flap there so you can see them unrolling using the tent post, ready to get them up very quickly. So that's my version of In the Army. So see if you can make your own lift the flap picture about all of the things you found out about the army from my book. I'm looking forward to looking at them.